Today I'm coming in with a take hotter than the coaster state. Hotter than the state.
I was going to put him.
Today I'm coming in with a take hotter than the state that this coaster is from. Iron Rattler is the worst RMC. I'm gonna rank every coaster and give them my review. Every drop and every hill, every launch and every loop. Rate it 1 to 10 and then we'll do it all again. Gonna rank and review every coaster. Iron Rattler is of course an RMC built hybrid coaster, meaning that it has steel track but wooden supports. And let's not let my stupid intro get things twisted. Iron Rattler is a great ride. Calling anything the worst RMC is honestly pretty stupid because it implies that RMCs aren't all great, which is just not true. But hey, I gotta get people to click on my video somehow. That being said, I do still prefer every other RMC that I've been on over Iron Rattler. I'll get into that more in a second, but first let's take a quick look at Iron Rattler's stats. It has a height of 179 feet. That takes you to your 81-degree drop before hitting 70 miles per hour. Iron Rattler has one inversion, and fun fact, this was the first inversion on a hybrid coaster. This coaster has a track length of 3,266 feet, resulting in a ride duration of 48 seconds from the first drop to the final brakes. And interestingly, even though the ride duration is close to a minute, the ride does still feel a little incomplete to me. Before diving deeper into why that is, let's take a look at the off-ride experience. Iron Rattler is located at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and this park has a really beautiful setting, with this coaster having one of the best settings out of all the rides in the park. As you can tell, Iron Rattler is partially situated on top of a quarry wall, diving off, on, and even through the cliffside throughout your ride. This setting is arguably the best thing about the ride, which is saying a lot because Iron Rattler does have a lot going for it. As the tallest coaster at Fiesta Texas, Iron Rattler has a towering presence and can be seen from just about anywhere in the park. The orange track is vibrant and eye-catching, and the aesthetic of the wooden support structure is always great, and the ride's logo stamped onto the lift is a nice finishing touch. Heading up to the ride entrance, Iron Rattler offers a pleasant-looking plaza area that, among other things, features a cool rattlesnake statue with water dripping out of the fangs. After putting your belongings into the mandatory lockers, you can head into the queue line, and this queue line does get a little uncomfortable for me. The area leading up to the station building is fine, it's scenic, shaded, and it's nice and open, most importantly. But the switchback ramps leading up to the station are a claustrophobe's nightmare. There's barely any room to walk around without bumping into either side, and this is unfortunately where you do spend a majority of your wait time. This coaster has also run just one train about half of the time that I've been at Fiesta Texas, so bear that in mind as well. On a positive note, I am at least thankful that this queue is almost entirely shaded, but I do just wish it was not such a tight squeeze. Anyway, once up to the loading platform, you'll notice a couple more nice touches, including the amazing ride vehicles that feature a snake head up front and a rattler in the back. I absolutely love them. And not only do these trains look great, but I also very much enjoy the minimalist restraint system that leaves your upper body free to fly around. And I like the fact that the lap bar comes down on your thighs as opposed to your waist. That combined with the fact that every other row has raised seats so that everyone can enjoy the views that this coaster offers, all contributes to a very fun on-ride experience. The main focus of Iron Rattler is certainly its airtime. Like every other RMC coaster, there are quite a few ejector airtime moments, but I will say fewer than I expected going into this ride in particular. I do feel, however, that the ride offers really solid pacing, which is ironically the only aspect of the coaster that most people criticize. The only downside would probably be that the ride does feel short to me, even though it does last a decent 48 seconds. But now let's take an even closer look at Iron Rattler by diving into the layout. After turning out of the station and slowly making your way up the quarry wall, you are greeted by a phenomenal first drop. This is definitely one of my favorite first drops out there. It does vary a bit depending on where you're sitting, as do several other moments on Iron Rattler, but the drop's phenomenal in every row. In the back row, my personal favorite place to sit, you get absolutely yoinked down this drop. Whatever the that means. You start picking up speed before even reaching the apex of the coaster, making the ejector airtime and stomach dropping sensation absolutely world class. This airtime is a little more sophisticated than some other first drops, as it is accompanied by a very strong and sudden pop of lateral G-forces, as the track has a very small twist in it that just slightly changes the direction in which you are traveling. But since the direction change is so quick, you just get violently tossed to the side of the train. So it's really the combo of ejector airtime and aggressive laterals that make this drop special. Now the drop is great in the front row too. Every force is just more tame. So you're not getting tossed up as hard, you're not getting tossed to the side as much, but the front is fun in its own way by dangling you over the edge of the drop and the cliff for a second, and that gives a great hanging feeling, as well as some amazing visuals and great anticipation. As you start to level out from the first drop, there's a metal awning that flies over your head, providing a great head chopper near miss. That, along with the fact that there's wooden beams flying on either side of you, make the ride feel significantly faster than it is. You then immediately find your way back up onto the cliff by traversing what I would call a step-up hill. This element is taken at a very high speed and provides a strong and long floating sensation. The two descending overbank turns that follow are probably the least exciting part of the ride. They do maintain a nice sense of speed, but they don't really do anything else. You're just not really getting tossed around at all, and you don't even feel a dropping sensation despite jumping back off of the quarry wall. You do, however, get a quick flash of the adjacent water rapids ride underneath you, so there is a nice visual component to this section. That's followed by the ride's lone inversion, or should I say Lone Star inversion, which is pretty dang fun. It's a cool sensation that offers pretty strong lateral forces in addition to a floating sensation all throughout. You then find yourself atop the quarry wall, where you will spend a majority of the remaining ride time. And like I mentioned earlier, I've heard countless people say that the pacing up here is not very good, but I would have to disagree. While yes, the speed of the ride has noticeably decreased by this point, I feel like this section has some of the strongest elements. The first hill gives the best moment of airtime on the ride yet, aside from maybe the drop in the back row. The airtime is strong ejector and lasts for about a full second. The element that follows is a small wave turn, giving fun floater airtime while leaning sideways. I always love these kinds of non-traditional airtime moments. You then head into an outer bank moment that gives nice lateral forces and decent airtime to those on the right half of the train. There's then one more strong, yet brief ejector airtime moment before getting to what is, at least in my opinion, the biggest letdown of the ride. The drop off the quarry wall. Let me explain. Prior to riding Iron Rattler, I had heard countless other coaster enthusiasts claim that this was one of the strongest airtime moments of any coaster out there, and I do not agree with that whatsoever. I mean, heck, the hill like 3 elements prior feels significantly stronger to me. That being said, I still think this drop is really awesome, just like all the other moments of the ride where you do so. Diving off of the wall again is insanely fun, and this element does give quite strong and sustained airtime, with stronger airtime in the back rows. I do just wish this moment was not overhyped, because that really is the only reason it was a letdown for me. Following that drop, you pick all of your speed back up and zoom straight into a long tunnel. Depending on the day and whether or not Fiesta Texas has paid their electrical bill, this tunnel will either feature lights or just be completely dark, and either way, this tunnel is insanely fun. You don't really feel anything notable here, aside from the really great sense of speed. Unfortunately though, even though you picked all that speed back up, you're already at the end of the ride. You do, however, get one last really strong pop of ejector airtime and laterals heading into the brake run with a full head of steam. And I really do wish this coaster were just a tad longer. If every single moment hit as well as the next, I don't think I would mind the length of the ride at all, but as is, there are just a couple moments where I don't think the ride is doing as much as it could. So it does just feel like one or two things are missing, despite the coaster being really awesome overall. So with all that said, what would I rate Iron Rattler? Despite all my nitpicks, Iron Rattler is still a butter smooth, super fast paced, super enjoyable ride experience that I think is sure to please just about any coaster lover out there. So it gets a very solid 9 out of 10. That's good enough to land it just outside of the top 10% of coasters I have been on, ranking at number 28 out of the 273 coasters I have been on so far. Rides like Manta and Joker above it just feel a bit more complete to me, while I definitely prefer the higher thrill level of Iron Rattler to the coasters ranked below it. But that's enough of my thoughts. I'd love to know what you guys think about Iron Rattler in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching to the end. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this, and make sure to tune in next time where I'll be talking about this one.